Welcome back to the channel where we are making a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. We're still on the road to finishing the demo. The good news is we've got only a couple things left. We've got to add some sound effects, which our friend Kane has made these sound effects for us. So we just need to kind of put them in place. Our inventory save is still screwed up, so we have to dig in there and fix that at some point. But I think today we're going to try to do some sound effects implementation. Okay, so we exported all the compressed MP3s from Kane, and we put it into a sound effects table. So I guess now we just have to go sound effect by sound effect and put it in the appropriate spot. So we have this bat damaged is the first one. So let's go find our bats and where we're doing our sound effects for a bat hurt. I think it is bat hurt. We don't even have a bat damaged sound just yet. So let's check our bat. What would it be? It would probably be the bat walk state or the bat pursue state. So let's find that. Bat walk state is what it's called. Okay. So a bat can get hit only when they're in the pursue state, basically, because the spawn state, they're invulnerable. The flee state, they're flying off. So it's only in this bat walk state do we need the sound effect. So we do have in the update function, we have a check for if we're dead, then change our state. And in the process AI, we should have this thing where we're like deducting some bat health, right? So I'm not seeing where we're doing that. We check the health. So it looks like we're probably doing bat collision, not in the bat state, but in the play state maybe. So maybe it's called spellcast to enemy collision. Oh, to bat collision here. So in our entity class, I don't know if I like leaving this in the entity class, but I guess this is fine. So we're saying if the fire spell collides and the bat's not spawning, we're going to do all this. So when we deduct this health, we do play a sound hurt, but it needs to be the bat hurt. Is that right? Bat damaged is what it's called. Bat damaged. Okay, so let's see if we've got our bat damage sound effect now that we've imported it. So I guess the easiest way is to go to... We might want to turn off the music for now to hear this. Because we were playing that sound, which is just the generic hurt sound, but we have a specific bat hurt sound now. So let's see if it's in there. Bat damaged a nil value. Okay, that's because we're playing it from the sounds table, not the sound effects table. So let's give that a shot. We'll have to turn off our console logging because it's just screwed up. Okay, yeah, man. I like it. I like it. Yeah, they kind of just hiss and go away, yeah? It works. It works. I want the cleansed sound better. Before we do that, I need to turn off this console because it is killing me. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so we should have a cleansed sound. Let's take a look at our sound effects table. It should be a cleanse. It's just called cleanse. So let's do that. So in our entity class, we're going to look for when we become cleansed, basically. It might be a corrupted boolean. Yeah. So whenever we flip this corrupted boolean to false, we want to... Gosh, where do we do it? It should be... Wow, okay. I don't know where it is. It should be somewhere in the update for the entity class. Because see how we're checking the health, but it's not necessarily becoming cleansed here. I don't know when we're doing that. Yeah, we might have to look. It should, you know, we should have typed in cleanse for it, but I don't think we do. It might be under corrupted gets false. So in the entity walk state, if we have less than 0 health, we are no longer corrupted, so that's when we're cleansed. So we're going to say if the entity dot type is equal to what, bat? I think it's bat C. Then we want to say sound effects cleanse, and we want to play that sound effect. But we are, you know what? We are playing the cleanse sound, and it's not having to do with this. So let me see where we're doing that. Let's go to our sounds table and just see how we're doing a sounds cleanse here for the bat walk state. That's probably a better place to put it. So let's say not sounds cleanse, but SFX cleanse. So let's hear Kane's cleanse sound instead of ours. We should have started with that. That would have been easier, but let's see. We need a new Tashio Hertz sound too. Fuck. Uh-oh. That still sounds like my cleanse sound. Let's see any other reference to a cleanse sound. Entity walk state. Yeah, it might be right there. We have a gecko sound. We have a bat. Oh, dude, we do it like 3 different times. This is wrong. Bat walk state. I guess that one's okay. But we do need to come in here and change it for the bat flee state. So let's just say that that's the cleanse from the SFX table. And we want to find any other time we use the old sound table. The gecko walk state. I might as well change it now. We need to add the geckos back into the demo. Whoa! Yo, thank you for the gifted subs. That is very nice of you. Hey, thank you. That is awesome. Yo, single-handedly start a hype train. Let's go. Level 2 hype train. Thank you. Welcome in. I don't know if I've seen you in chat before, but we're building this Game Boy-like game, and we're kind of just adding our our new sound effects into the game today. So we're kind of just going one by one and inserting all of this stuff. Yo, thank you for all the subs, and Katron, thank you for the Prime. Appreciate it, dude. Katron, if you're I know you do like Chuggy Boomer every once in a while. You should try this demo called Baby Steps. Have you heard of this? You should try that. I would watch you play Baby Steps for sure. Okay, let's see if we can hear the new sound effects here for the cleansing. So yeah, I say try it, dude. It's fun. I played maybe like 5 hours of it in the past 3 days, so I played it a lot. Okay, here we go. Let's listen for the new cleanse sounds. Okay, sweet. We need Tashio fall sound. Oh shit. We need new Ruby pickup sound. We need new Tashio hurt sound. Let's maybe I guess we could keep the process of going through our SFX table and just keep on chugging along. I just do that for a grep search later. Okay, we have a bat spit. I don't think we have a spit sound. We also need to change the bat spitballs to purple because they should be corruption. So I think it's under a spitball. Let's see, spitball. Yeah, that's spitball. When we go to render a spitball, we're not going to set the color to white. We're going to set a purplish. Oh, you looked it up already? Yeah, I played it like completely blind and I was like really taken aback. Red, green, and blue. So we want red and blue for purple. So let's just start with, and we can do, let's just say all red, no green, all blue, fully opaque. And let's just see the spitball. We do, whenever they spit, whenever we instantiate a spitball, we should play the spit sound. So SFX bat spit, and upon the init of this object, we will just play this sound of a bat spit, and it should be purple. You know, Katron, it's really well done. Like, I mean, it's hard. It's definitely hard, but the mechanic is like really well done, I think. So like it's pretty fair overall. Like once you get good at it, it's actually like it feels good to maneuver and it feels fair, but also it's very tough. Okay, let's hear for the spitball and let's look for the purple spitball. Let's see if it looks purple. Holy crap, yes, dude. Dude, that's cool. Oh my gosh. Wow, dude, the sounds are awesome, man. Kane killed it with this. It feels, oh, it's really good. Wow, the purple spit is freaky, man. Yes, dude. Yo, thanks, man. It's coming together. It's coming together. I like. Have you seen the new? Have you seen the soundtrack? Yet? Because we've got. Oh man, this is the intro. Since there was no save file, so we accidentally just created a save file. That's okay. We've got a lot of different soundtracks now. So here's like still the tutorial area. This Mage's Wall is still busted, and it's hard to hear because I'm playing the Sonic Pi music too. So, well, but now there's different there's different soundtracks based on which scene you're at. So I think up here it changes. We're still finalizing the layout for over here. You know what? That should be a different song. I like the Dark Forest song. It's looking sick. We're still finalizing the layout, but with the music and the new sound effects, it's starting to shape up to be really nice. And we got the minigame working with the loot for beating the demo. And we've also got the corrupted water changing when you get the right song played. So it's really coming together. It's just that it's tough. It's tough. The save and load for the inventory system has been really kicking my ass. We need to add a fisherman down here. And then it's basically like most of this demo explorable area is kind of blocked out. Oh yeah, we need a new meditate sound too. I think Kane's working on that now. Okay, let's keep chugging along. Let's go SFX table, and we will get the next one, which is a bat flap. So this can be, yo, the Jimmy Cam is a bit much. I can concede that. Bat flap. I don't know how we want to do this. Because ideally, just like every couple seconds, it just flaps or something. So I guess we can put that in the bat walk state. We want to basically set a timer on here. Let's just call it flap timer. And we'll just set it to 0. And when we update our flap timer, we will say self.entity flap timer is gonna get incremented by delta time every update in the walk state. And then we're gonna say if the flap timer is greater than, we want like a random variable set on the init. So like flap time or flap threshold. If we're greater than the threshold, we need to reset our flap timer, and we also need to go to our SFX table at index bat flap, and we need to play it, and we need to set this flap threshold on the init. So we'll say that this flap threshold is gonna become equal to a math.random number of somewhere between maybe 2 and 3. I just don't want 2 spawning of a bat to have the exact same flap time, so like we wanted to kind of do an offset, but I don't know how well that's gonna work. Whoa, there's the flap. Okay. Well, we need it turned down. Wow, dude, the sound effects are making it feel pretty dope. Yeah, 2 and 3 is too much. So we kind of need, let's just say it's every half second, but we also need to just flap threshold 0.5. Let's say, I think math.random only gives you a whole integer. I'm wanting to give it like a 0.3 or a 0.4 or something, you know, like alternating that. But let's go to our SFX table. And we're going to set the volume for flap to be a lot quieter. So we're just going to say, go to the bat flap index, and we're going to run a method on that thing, and it's going to be a set volume. And we're going to set it to 0.1 and just see if that works. It should be flapping like 6 times as fast now. We should also probably just spawn us in the right dungeon so we don't have to do this little thing. Yeah, we should probably do that. Okay, here we go. Let's listen for the flaps. It's too quiet. It's too quiet. Let's go 0.5. Let's see. Ideally, it's like linked to like the down frame of the bat's flap, but I don't think it really matters that much. Okay, let's hear the bat flap. I don't know, it's too much. I mean, it's definitely too loud. Maybe we just have it quiet. Let's see what the 0.2 sounds like. I'm gonna turn off our music for just a hot second there so we can see how loud it is. Okay. We need the bat flap on the spawn and the flea as well. So we might put it in the entity class. For that reason. I like the kind of subtle bat flap at 0.2 there. So I think we'll probably keep that, but we do need to put the bat flap for the spawn as well as the flea state. So right now we have it here in the bat walk state. We're playing this here. So I think we want to do this in the entity class. I think. Because basically, regardless of state, well, let me think. Because the bats, before they fly out, they are initialized in the entity table, but we wouldn't want them flapping unless they're on screen. So maybe what we do is put okay, so maybe what we do is put the flap timer. We put the flap timer on the entity class. How do we make sure we only play the flap when the bat is in either the... I'm not sure. Because the bat should have... Let's see our bat flea state. I'm trying to find a value on the bat that is true when we're active on screen, either in the spawn state, the pursue state, or the flee state. Because if we're in either of those three states, we need to play our bat flap. But if we are not any of those three, if we are we don't even have a thing for that. We don't have a boolean that kind of keeps track of that. We can add the same logic to each class, which I don't really like. Each state, you know, we can say do our bat flap in our flee state and our spawn state. That would do it, but we want to update the flap timer regardless of state. So we will put this in our entity class, and we will put it, you know, we need to basically, I don't really like dumping it into the entity class because it's something specific to bats, not specific to this entity. So we might declare it in the entity def as just values. So I think that makes most sense. So when we go to actually put in the bat, we can say, and that's, we're looking for the one in our map declarations. You know, we're kind of like, we can add this. Yeah, I mean, I guess this is the way to do it. But then, you know, anytime we instantiate a bat, we need to tell it, here's explicitly what the bat flap is. So maybe we do just do in the entity class, because they're all going to be the same anyway, and I don't think it's, you know, one integer of data more on every entity class is like whatever. Okay, so in our entity, when we make it, we're just going to give it a self dot. Do we have a self dot entity in here? No. So the entity itself is the self. So we'll say there is a flap timer, get initialized to 0, and then we need to increment it. Anytime we update the entity, we need to just update it. So anytime, what is it? Anytime we update, we're going to say, by the way, our self flap timer is going to get incremented by delta time. So whenever we update an entity, we're getting that flap timer. So now we should just have to put in the plays in all of our different states. So for our flee state, actually let's start with our pursue state, which is called walk state, bat walk state. We have this where we're taking that flap timer from our entity and we're checking the flap threshold, which we need to actually initialize. So this flap threshold and flap timer now needs to go in the entity class, and we'll just put it like we did right here, self dot flap timer and self dot flap threshold. Okay, so now when we are spawning, we should be updating this flap timer, and then when we're, at least when we're walking, bat walk, which is pursue state, we are, let's see, we should be doing this bat flap. So let's call this, yeah, I mean, we just call this bat flap. Okay, so we want to put this bat flap in every state, which is the walk state, the flee state. So we'll just go to our update and put it here. So if we're fleeing and our flap timer is still, remember, like our flap timer is being updated in our entity, So this should now play in the bat flee state and then also in the bat spawn state. You know, I don't like duplicating it 3 times, but it is a little bit easier than redefining every time we make a bat what we want the bat flap and flap threshold to be. So let's see if this is working. What the heck just happened there? Okay, here we go. Let's hear the bat flaps. I did hear it. Okay, I mean, they're always flapping, so it's always updating, and it's also doing this if they're... Yeah, this isn't quite right. It's close, you know, it's better than before, but it's flapping even before they're on screen, so... if we're not, well... We have to check the spawning logic for the bat and see if there's like a certain kind of thing we're doing. We could ask the state name. No. We could ask the state name. You know, yeah, I don't know if I like this. I mean, we could take out the 3. Yeah, you know what? I think that might be the move. We take the sound out of the states and we go into the entity class and we say, okay, well, if the entity is of type bat and the state name is spawn, attack, or flee, well, and actually the spawn, that won't quite work because when we initialize a bat, we change it to a spawn state. So then it would be flapping. But... yeah. We would say if it's the state of spawn and we are spawning, go ahead and play it. Otherwise, if it's a state name of pursue state or flee state, then we would want to also play the sound. So let's try that, where we can come in here, take out our bat spawn. So let's see, bat. It's not bat spawn, it is bat flap. Okay, so let's start with the walk state. We'll take this bat flap out of the walk state and we'll put it into our entity class, and we'll say, you know, this will be the bat flap for everybody, so let's just take it out of the pursue state or the flee state, as well as the spawn state. So we'll take out the bat flap here. We just have it in the entity class, which... okay. It wouldn't be self.entity, it would be just self. So self flap timer, self flap threshold. Now we are playing the bat flap in the entity class, but we have to do another couple checks, and we need to see if the self.type is it? Self.type is it? Let's see our entity defs. I think it's called type. Type is bat. Yes. Okay. So it is type. So we go in here. Where are we? If our type is equal to bat, you know, we don't want to flap if we're not bat, first of all. But then we're going to check, well, if our, is it called state name? What is it called? Because we're looking for to only play it in the spawn state if we are actually spawning. If we have yet to spawn, we don't want to be flapping just yet. So let's see our bat spawn state, and it is called a state name camel case. So we'll say if the entity's state name is equal to, and I think it is spawning. Spawn. Just spawn. If it's equal to spawn, then if we are not spawning, I guess we would say if we are actually spawning, then we want to play our bat flap sound effect. But this other stuff should be in a else if our state name is we have two, right? We have the state name of, I want to say it's pursue, which is the bat walk state. Let's see, walk state should be a state name of pursue. Yeah, we got that. And then the flee state. So flee, and our state name is flee. Okay, so let's say, yeah, if it's a pursue state or a flee state, then we want to also check for that threshold, play our bat flap, and reset our flap timer. So this hopefully would stop the bat from flapping before it's on screen, because if our state name is spawn, then we only bat flap if we're actually spawning and we pass that flap threshold for the timer. So we should maybe also probably not increment the flap timer if we are not spawning in the spawn state as well. So we could say, well, yeah, we only want to increment this flap timer if, in two cases, if we're in the pursuer flee state, we want to update it, but also we want to update it only if we are actually spawning and our spawn state, we're in our spawn state. So let's see, we're looking for the bat flaps. Let's see. And we don't want them flapping unless they're on screen, essentially, so we'll test that out. I can't hear it. There's too much music going on. Okay, we'll mute that. Let's mute our game Sonic Pi here. Let's hear it. We changed a lot of stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised if we broke it. Yeah, I don't hear the I don't hear the flaps. Let's try to do this flap timer. Let's take this out. So we should be playing this, you know, let's print up the flap timer on one of these entities and just make sure it's working as expected. We also should just start spawning into the right scene here. Oh my gosh, the holy room is kind of rude, man. I don't know how I feel about this. It's like a secret. It's a secret. Okay. 213. We're on a map 213 for spawning, so yeah, I don't hear it. 213 is where we want to spawn, so let's go to our spawn zone 213. Okay, yep, 213. So we'll spawn right here in the dungeon we want to test. Now, our bat flaps are not coming through ever since we moved it into the entity class. But, oh my gosh, that's okay. Oh, I hear a bat flap. That's weird. It started working, you know, it didn't. Let's see. Well, because look here, it's not playing. But if we walk off and come back on, then they're always on. No? Huh. They did trigger. I just couldn't get them to trigger again. So what is going on? We're either not updating our flap timer or this should work. If we're a type bat and our state name is spawn, then if we're actually spawning, we're going to start the bat flap. Okay. Else, if our state name is whatever. Okay. So let's just try this and say, you know what, we're incrementing our flap timer. Let's just turn all this off. Because what we could also do is just, if we're spawning, we could say, let's just not update our flap timer if we're not spawning in our spawn state name. Okay, so yeah, so why is it so loud though? Why is it that one so loud? We set the whatever. We could do this and say, you know what, if we're only going to do this if the self state name is pursue. Let's just test this. If it's equal to the string pursue or the entity's state name is equal to flee, then we're going to go ahead and actually update that flap timer. And then we check that threshold and play. Let's see. Or don't hear him. Don't hear him. Oh, I heard it that time when we went to pursue. Shit, man. It's like we need. I think we just need a little boolean. We just need a little boolean like flap active or something. And once we spawn, flap active is true. Once we're done fleeing, we init as false. And then we just do this flap timer on the flap spawn, whatever we want to call it, instead of the state name, because this is just not really working. So we're still going to do this in the entity, but I think we still do just want to do that basic check of if our type is equal to bat, then let's go ahead and do this. And we're going to say we are updating our flap timer regardless of entity. So I think what we want to do is say, I think we need to go to the bat state. So since a bat is an entity, we can make it part of the entity here, and we just say flap active gets false, because we don't want to be flapping by default. It's only when we spawn or respawn do we become flap active. So once we do this in a bat walk state, actually it's in a spawn state bat spawn state, we're going to say once we become spawning, so spawning gets true, right? So if we are spawning, then we're also going to say, yeah, our entity's flap active field is going to be also true at this point. And then we need to flush this to false. So like as soon as we spawn, flap is active. But once we flee, then we need to say once we are gonna reset our original position, let's just flush in our reset original position. We're gonna flush our flap active back to false. So we have it set to true when we spawn, and when we reset our position, we go back to false, and it shouldn't be true again until we actually spawn. So the two bats are spawning at the same time. Oh, see, look, they're still flapping. Spawn state 105, we screwed up. Okay. Why was it flapping still when it wasn't flap active? Huh. It was flapping when we weren't flap active. So let's go to our entity, and when we do our flap, we want to do this. Oh, see, we do this. So we only want to do this if, and we can do this here, if our type of entity is bat, and also only if our entity's flap active. Only if our flap is actually active do we increment this flap timer. But that doesn't help us with the offset of two of them at once. But let's see. Did I save it? Nice. Okay, let's see. If we cleanse them. Bat flee state. We misspelled entity. Uh-oh. What did I do? Entity. Okay. Entity gets flap active false. Now we saw the issue there. The bat flew underneath the top level tile for the dungeon entrance, which is just one of those things I could not figure out, because the bat has to be the bat has to be under the top level tiles when we're spawning, because the bat flies out of the cave, but then it needs to render on top of the tiles once it's in the flee state, so it can render on top of the top level tile as it flies away. I remember getting stuck on that for like a day or two. We didn't figure it out, but we probably need to polish that up for the demo. So let's try to get maybe a slight offset in the spawn time for the bats that are coming here, because I want an offset of flaps, right? Because if there's two bats, you should hear two distinct flaps instead of them being, it's playing it twice for each bat, which is probably making it sound twice as loud also, because they're both, I don't know if that's how it works, but let's try to find where we are doing like we have this spawn timer. Yeah, spawn timer gets 2. So it's like when we reset our spawn timer, we could say math dot random and say either 2 or 3 seconds. Just to possibly give it a different value. But I still think, I don't know if that's a whole, is that just integer, random integer? We might need to look up the documentation for that. But if we reset the spawn timer here, we also want to say spawn timer for the bats that we're putting in here. Okay, yeah, we have all this weird ass spawn timer. So we're looking for the shortcut. I want to say it's called like the potion shortcut. Potion. No, we don't have it. Because if we pull the location from our spawn, which is 213, we should be able to search for a reference of 213 bat right here. And we want to just give a spawn timer. We just want to offset the bats spawns by a little bit. So if one has a spawn timer of 3, one has a 2.4, they should be a little offset now. So we should hear 2 distinct flaps. Nice. Nice. Yes, that's it. Each one has its own. Okay, sweet. You know, we probably just need to... Man, dude, I hate that they render underneath. Because what's really tricky, too, is like they... Oh, man. If we just go and make them render on top level tile, we take them out of the scene because of the way it's stacked, because it needs to render over our player. So that's why the issue came from. But if we just take it out of the scene, then if we walk as a bat is flying under one of those top level tiles, it'll actually not scroll when we do a scene change. This was a warp zone, so you didn't get to see it there, but also it looks like they're flapping before they're ready, which we also need to flush the because instead of we need to flush the flap active upon a warp zone too. So when we reset original position from a warp zone on our entities, we need to also reset our flap active. I don't know if that's called entity reset or what we have that called. Reset original. Reset entities upon warp. So right here, we do a reset original position on the entity class. So if our reset original position also has a flap active getting false, that should do it. Let's see, our entity. Reset original positions. Reset original position. We do have... Oh, okay, look, if we're a type bat, we just want to say self dot flap active is also reset upon a warp zone. So now we should get them triggering off if we weren't spawning here. Okay, nice. This is awesome, dude. This is awesome. I think it sounds great, man. I think Kane did a great job with the sound effects. So far we've got what, 3 of the 30 sound effects implemented from Kane. So we will continue to add the new ones in. Then we need to finalize our save data for the inventory system, and then we need to do a lot of little stuff like fix the intro cinematic for Mage's Castle, so that Flamma renders and that the Mage Magic Wall isn't spawned by default. We need to add geckos to the Dark Forest. We need to finalize the overworld of the demo area, and then we need to make 2 new NPCs as well as the fisherman, and then lay out with a couple new sprites for the overworld here. And then anytime we spawn bats, we just need to know, don't do a spawn timer of exactly 3 seconds, so that we get the offset of the bats when they fly in. I mean, this is the Dark Temple. It doesn't really matter. But let's commit. We'll call it a day. I do want to pull up this into around half second, and then we will check our git diff. Wow, we touched a lot of files. So let's just do a git diff real quick, and we'll see. And actually, I want a music back as we end the episode here. It looks like we took off the console print. We added a new flapping mechanism for our bat so that we can start to flap individually. We added the new spit sound effect and the new spitball color. We set our flap volume appropriately. We have that flap active reset upon warp zone. We also are doing Kane's new cleanse sound, as well as spawning in the dungeon we're testing. So we're going to call it a night, and we're going to just say that this is added dungeon sound effects and bat flap sounds, something like that. And we'll get push, and we'll find someone to raid out to here. I want to run credits though, and we will call it a night. Let's see who is streaming. We'll run our credits. Uh-oh. Yeah, we're gonna have to come out into the forest, so we'll go out into the forest. We should have spawned us on the floor, but that's okay. So thanks for watching, everybody. We will find someone to raid out to, and we will call it a night. We're on the road to finishing the demo for the game, so we're not there, but we are doing our best. And I'm hoping in 2 weeks or so we get the demo out for play testing on Discord, and then we'll start the application process for getting it up on Steam once we make all the deliverables. So yeah, that's coming up. We'll raid Booyah, fellow team member, and we'll just call it a night. Thanks for hanging, y'all. Thanks for the subs, the gifted subs. Thanks for the Prime, Katron. Hope you all have a great night, and we'll raid out to Booyah Grandma. Thanks for watching.